All right, excited to get the season started. Got a couple of updates here that just want to share with everybody. First off, Jason King will represent and wear number 25 as we honor the legacy of Aaron O'Neal on the 20th anniversary of his tragic passing, and understand the significance of his life and story to our university, and the significance of the changes that were brought about with the NCAA and sickle cell testing. So Jason is excited to wear that. He's from St. Louis, and he is a linebacker, so it was awesome for that to occur. Logan Reichert suffered a lower body injury 2 days ago that will keep him out 6 to 8 weeks. So that's going to be really the first and hopefully only injury that will keep somebody out of the game. We are monitoring a couple other situations, but feel good that we'll have everybody healthy. Quarterbacks, we have a plan in place and have discussed with the team and feel prepared to execute that plan, and don't feel the need to share that plan with you. So just want to make sure that we all know that. As far as, University of Central Arkansas playing the Purple Bears, famous alumni Eli Drinkwitz, I think she's a proud graduate. I don't remember the year, but sister graduated from there. Have a lot of respect for their program and their head coach, Nathan Brown. He had a storied career there as a quarterback and player, and now obviously a very successful coach, and has done a tremendous job building and maintaining the success of that program through a lot of different head coaches. I think he's been there since since 04 as a player. I think his entire career has been there. Have a great relationship, long-term relationship with their tight ends coach, Brooks Hollingsworth. Brooks used to recruit the area when I was a high school football coach, and so have a lot of respect for him and his career as a football coach. UCA is used to winning and has an established program. Last year, played a very difficult, tough game with Arkansas State, scored 21 in the fourth quarter, and plays a very detailed style of brand of football. Always going to be a physical football team. Their defensive coordinator comes back. He had been there for a long time, went to Southern Miss, and now is back. And so, I know that they're going to be really prepared. Really exciting opportunity for me personally. Malachi Henry, their freshman wide receiver. I coached with his dad, Mo, at Springdale for several years, from 06 to 09. Malachi would have been 4 or 5 at the time, and so awesome to see his career develop, and we'll be excited to face him and to watch him chase his dream as a Division I football player. So pretty cool moment there. So really important for us this week as a football team to establish and bring our identity to life. We want to be a tough football team and a team that plays well under pressure and executes in tough moments. And so that's going to be really important for us. That's our message to our team this week is make our identity come to life. You get one shot at a first impression, and what impression are we going to have as Team 136 in this brotherhood? So with that, I'll open it up for questions. Yeah, absolutely. I felt like both quarterbacks played really well, really since the spring. I think they've both established a leadership with the team, as evidenced by both being voted captains, and just didn't feel like I could make a decision without a little bit more information. And I didn't want to rush the decision. I think the decision of the starting quarterback for me personally is something that I'm going to have a lot of conviction about. And I felt like both of those guys, like I said, have played winning football throughout camp, and I have a lot of confidence that both can execute at a high level. So really the only other thing to measure was to put them in live competition. Nowadays, I'm never going to do that in practice, just because of the nature of college football now and the investments that we have in those positions. So the ability to play live football Thursday night, the ability to watch these guys prepare, see how they handle the preparation, I felt like was the best course of action, and that was the decision. Done that before, worked out pretty good.
What do you feel like you need to see specifically from whoever will emerge as the starter in that campaign?
Yeah, I don't feel the need to share that with anybody. I just feel like that I feel like both of them need to play football. I think they've both demonstrated the ability of toughness, preparation, decision-making, accuracy, and leadership in a practice setting, but that doesn't mean they've done it in a game setting for us. And I know both of them have played college football before, but they haven't played it in this situation before, and so they'll get to demonstrate that this week. All those this week and in a game.
Is there a scenario where they don't separate themselves and it carries into the next week?
No.
Kind of mentioned it there, but how important is the next 5 days of this pregame rhythm for the game in addition to what they actually do on the field?
I think it's important for everybody. We've talked a lot throughout the fall camp about establishing a process, and whether that's you're a senior or you're a freshman, you got to establish a process for how you prepare for the game. And so, it's going to be an opportunity for everybody outside of just the quarterbacks. I know there's a lot of focus on that, which is awesome, but it's important for everybody to establish a rhythm and a routine and a process. I think you look back at the success that we've had, whether it's here or App State or NC State, the best players that we've coached have had a game week rhythm and routine that they could rely on, and it was able to keep them steady through the ups and downs of the season. I think about Brett Rippon, Ryan Finley. I think about Cody Schrader, Darius Robinson, Chris Abrams-Drain. Those guys, Brady, they all had routines that were unique to them, but they were able to establish and maintain. Yeah, it's a challenge, obviously, to figure that out to some extent, because they do have new coordinators, from a calling it standpoint. Obviously, Nathan has taken, or Coach Brown has taken back over the play calling duties. He hasn't done that, I don't believe, and since he was the coordinator under Steve Campbell. So, we can watch last year's scheme. It's always been a little bit similar to the scheme that he played for when he was played for Coach Conk. So they're always going to establish the run. They've got a big running back. I think the Chambers kid played quite a bit for them last year. They've got two really good guards that will allow them to try to establish the line of scrimmage. They've always been a gap scheme. That's something Coach Hollingsworth has always believed in when he was the O-line coach, even now as the tight ends coach. Obviously, Malachi was a freshman All-American wide receiver, so they've got a unique skill set there. Nathan threw the ball around a lot as a quarterback, so I'm assuming he's going to want to get back to doing that. I feel like the comments that were made was maybe they didn't have enough variety or explosiveness on offense. So I look for them to try to bring back some explosive style of offense. Their quarterback, I think Austin Myers from Bologna was a really good high school football player in the state, big, tall, got great arm, size. So, not a ton of film. I think he's got less than 100 snaps. So that's a little bit of a challenge to know exactly what the offensive identity is going to be. Defensively, Coach comes back from Southern Miss, but he had been there before. I think it's going to be a similar style defense to what they've been running. But they do have variations to what they do, both in the coverage aspects and in the front. They play multiple fronts, 4 down, odd, and we'll play some bear. So that gives you a unique thing for your offense to have to prepare for all 3 different fronts to know how to block them and protect them. So that's going to be a challenge. Special teams wise, they've made some changes on their operations, and even have talked about getting back to being a more aggressive style special teams. So we haven't seen that on tape. We don't know exactly what that looks like. So we're going to have to be prepared for a lot of different things. But at the end of the day, it's about us. It's about us establishing our identity. It's about us establishing the brand of football that we want to play. And I look forward to seeing that this week come alive. Yeah, the challenges are there's not quite as much film that you're going to be able to dial in and say, okay, this is this is what they do. But it really comes back down to our preparation, our fundamentals and techniques, our execution. On the offensive side of the ball, you have base rules that you understand versus, a 4-down front, an odd front, or a bare front. We got to be able to execute that regardless of what front they're in. We have sound DNA plays that we can execute versus anything. We got to be able to do that. Quarterbacks are going to have to go through progression reads and understand, what the progression is. They're going to have to identify coverage and understand how that changes their progression, which is a good challenge. And so that'll be what that is. On the defensive side of the ball, it's going to be all about reading your keys. You're not going to be able to have run pass tips going into the game because you don't see those on tape. So you're going to have to rely and trust on your keys and make sure in the secondary we have our eyes in the right spot. In the front seven, we're going to have to be physical and dominate our block. Dominate the blocker. We're going to have to read and react based off of the type of block that we're getting. It's really a good challenge. It's a good test, and it's something that I think our team looks forward to. Mm-hmm. Well, as far as the punt return standpoint, obviously Kevin's done it at a high level in this league, so that was easy. Daniel Blood shared some of that responsibility last year, but we've really been proud of Demarion Folks and his ability to catch kicks and be explosive. I think he's had, we haven't obviously done that phase live, but it's been something that I think we've done quite a bit, and he's been the most explosive in that. So that's been fun to watch and develop. As far as the kickoff return, I think T-Man's been here for a long time, and he's done a lot of different things on special teams, but he's really had an explosive camp both as a ball carrier and when we try to evaluate what's going to be the best opportunity for us on the kickoff return squad, we want a big physical guy who can run through tackles, blow through smoke, and still have the ability to make people miss. And I just felt like through evaluating fall camp, he gives us the best chance. Obviously, Jamal has always been an off returner for us, and he's done a really good job on the other side of that. So, he can be an off returner. He can also be a returner. It gives one of our playmakers an opportunity to touch the ball. Wow. Ahmad's been really remarkable in his ability to assimilate to our team. He's just got an infectious personality with his teammates. But make no mistake about it, he's a physical presence running the football, and he's got the right kind of mentality and mindset with the ball in his hands. I think that combination has been really good. He's got the I ride horses cowboy and takes people with him to do that, but man, when he puts his helmet on and wants to get after it, he gets after it. He talks a lot of trash to the defense, has a lot of fun. He's just got one of those, he's one of those guys you love to have in the locker room because he's about his business when he needs to be, but he's also about enjoying the journey. And I've been really impressed and pleased with him and look forward to seeing him play.
We obviously got to talk to Logan just a few days ago.
Yeah.
Tell me what his journey as a walk-on and beating cancer has meant to this team.
Yeah, y'all are going to have to start identifying. We got a lot of people with the same first name. So I thought at first you were talking about Logan Reichert there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Logan, man, what an awesome young man. And Coach Russ says this really proudly, that when you look at the evolution of our team and the establishment of our culture, guys like Logan Muckey, Anthony Favreau, Tommy Locke, Chris Cray, and I know I'm leaving Brady Holtman, I'm leaving some of them out. Those guys as walk-ons have had as much to do with the transformation of that locker room and establishment of a lead edge culture as anybody. And I think Logan is a really, really strong representation of that. A guy who just shows up every day with the right kind of energy and attitude and effort, makes plays, no job's too big or too small for him, and he's willing to hold people accountable. We talk about being accountable to the standard or responsible for the standard. He's one of those guys that feels responsible for the standard that's been established and set, and he holds people to that, and he's willing to call people out. And you can only do that if your life and your actions are if you're accountable to the standard. So I think he's done a really, really good job, and we're just proud of him, and thankful he's on the team.
With Lucky, when you first offered him a spot here to walk on, just what was it about him at that point that you wanted to give him that chance?
Yeah, I think it's pure desperation. I think we do a really good job in the walk-on category, from establishing the high school players early on, like who can play, who do we think can help us. When we first got here, that wide receiver position was a position that we really need to flip that room, and whether that was through transfer or whether that was through scholarship or walk-ons. And Logan had all the right things about him, and obviously, he was coming from a really good high school that we wanted to recruit some players from too, so that helped us.
2 or 3 more guys.
Coach, you mentioned it already, but are there any other specifics on the side of the ball that you want to see go well?
All of them, yeah, all of them. It all starts with us stopping the run. I think we want to make sure we can establish the ability to stop the run. I think we want to see if we can rush the passer without having to be too exotic in our pressures. Want to see if we can establish, the ability to affect the passer. I think we want to see what kind of coverage ability we have. Are we going to have to be a team can we be a team that denies the ball, or do we have to be a team that has a touchdown-proof defense and just try to keep everything in front of us? Can we force takeaways, and do we tackle well? So there's a lot of things to figure out. I think we know going into it what we want to try to establish, but everybody goes in with a plan, and you're going to have to react to different things that occur, and we'll see. I've changed my mind. Look, I don't know if I said this at media days, and I still believe it. The 2 most important factors in making decisions, in my opinion, from a conference standpoint or for college football, is the fans and the players, and everything else is really secondary. I don't think we should weigh in conference affiliation or finances or all that different stuff that is, in my opinion, really caused a lot of the issues we have in college football right now, because it's really been more about anyway. So I think from a fan standpoint, it's awesome. I really do. I think adding those games are great for the fans. I think it's going to be a challenge. Obviously, I think there's going to be unintended consequences from increasing the schedule difficulties. I think there's going to be unintended consequences with having a 4 and 5 game rotation, where you only have 4 conference home games, and there's going to be 5 conference road games, which now makes scheduling even more challenging, because you've just told us that we have to have 1 Power 4 outside of that, which you could be looking at a 6 home game, 6 road game schedule, which would make no sense when you spent $250 million building a North End Zone project. So I think there's a lot of challenges there that you're gonna have to figure out and get right. So, and it's not exactly like they're giving us a lot of time to do that. We don't even know who our 3 permanents are. We don't know what the schedule looks like, and we got to do it here in the next 9 months. So, or really 6 months. And you're gonna have to buy out some stuff. So, we figured it out before. But I do think there's a lot of unintended consequences that hopefully that everybody was aware of on that stuff, and we'll go from there. But I will say this: I just hope we get through this season first, because there's no guarantee anything for next year, right? So I'll focus on being 1-0 this year, and then we'll figure out next year's challenges next year.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you all.